Yeah, comenzamos, estamos en vivo en lo que es un podcast que va a estar muy brutal en la noche de hoy. ¿Qué les puedo decir? Tenemos a un triatleta súper amigable. Yo no sé si él entiende español, pero aquí estamos, así que si él lo entiende, pues quizás se esté riendo de lo que estoy diciendo. El tipo es súper cool. Eso sí lo entendió. I know you understand that part about super cool. Y mano, súper entusiasmado de tener a Chris con nosotros, que va a estar en la noche de hoy. Vamos a estar hablando un poco de lo que es los entrenamientos, la dieta vegetariana, la familia, que es súper importante. Y esta entrevista va a ser en inglés. Recuerda que la puedes escuchar a través del sistema de audio de Spotify, Apple Music, en todas las plataformas audio. Así que, sin más preámbulo, tenemos aquí a Chris. Hi, Chris. What's up, man?
Hey, thanks for having me, Randy. I understood about 3 words. That was awesome.
Super cool. And what else? And Chris. Super
Yep.
cool and Chris. Hey, Chris. How are you? How's
Yeah, I'm
things
doing
going
really
on there?
well. Yeah, I can't complain. Life is good. Yep.
That's great to hear. How does it feel? Um, how did you feel during that race a couple of weeks ago? How does that feel like racing again?
Which race? It felt
Did
great
you?
to race them all. I've done 4
Yeah,
races this year already. And I shouldn't say already because the year is already over, but
yeah.
yeah, it was different because a little bit of me was wanting to check out for the year and just like kind of nix all of 2020 and then get back at it in 2021. But since races were happening, you had to keep going, and it was good. It was good to race. It was good to win, and to be the sole winner of a North American Ironman was pretty awesome. Yeah.
That's so great, man. You have a couple of podiums that I want to talk about, and especially your experience in Puerto Rico. Uh, but before doing that, um, I want to say something. You are a very humble guy, and the times that I have been talking to you, like during the track, when we have been training, or seeing you train, because I don't train with you, you're too fat. So. Uh, but you are always smiling, always saying hi to people. Are you usually like that, like in all aspects?
Um, I guess I am. I guess it's my personality, so it is what it is. But from I hear people like you, I hear other people say the same thing, and it's definitely makes me feel good when I hear that. But I don't strive to be that way. I guess it's the way I was raised and the way I am.
I have heard and read that you are a family guy.
Yeah,
Are you?
yeah, absolutely. A family guy, is that what you said?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm one of 4 boys, and my parents, they just had their 46th wedding anniversary a couple days ago, and I had really good role models in my life. Met my wife Xana almost 9 years ago now, and we have a little boy, and it's definitely a part of my life to be able to grow up and start a family of my own, and it's just really cool. The entire family gets together, and we all get along super well, and it's something that I really value in my life is a family.
That's so great. So one of
Yeah,
the things that I always like to talk during podcasts, it's about family and about positive things. So that's great to hear, and I really appreciate the time that you're like with me right now, chatting and talking. So thank you again, like
absolutely. Yeah.
online. Um, so Chris, how do you manage to do things like you have a little boy, 1 year old? How old is he?
He's 5 months. Yeah,
5 months.
yeah, yeah. He was born
Wow.
July 27th, 2020. Oh,
Wow.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So how do you manage? to be like a professional athlete, professional triathlete, family, wife, and your little boy?
Um, we we have help. I can't say that we're doing it all ourselves, like because I'm working full time as a triathlete. My wife is full time in real estate, and there's no way that we could do this without help. So we are fortunate enough to be able to have that help. But it also makes the times that we do have them more special. Like on Sundays and Mondays today, we have them all day, and we get to play with them all day. My wife, especially, she really enjoys it. She gives them swim lessons every time she gets a chance once a week, and um, it's yeah, it's great. And to balance with uh, being a family, my wife is very supportive. She used to be a triathlete. Now she's a recreational athlete, so she understands the lifestyle. And um, yeah, it's a good balance. It's a really good balance, and it's something that didn't come easy. I've been a professional triathlete now for 8 years, I suppose, 9 years, and it didn't come easy. And I was going to school and working and also dating Xana when I first started, so I had a lot more on my plate before. So having a kid is kind of easy in a sense. Yeah,
Yeah.
just add something to fight for, a little bit more reason to get out there and train, get out there and race well.
Do you think that part of like your success or success, if you don't understand something that I'm saying, just let me know.
Yeah, no problem.
It's my Puerto Rican accent. So part of his success, do you think it's like trying to look for that balance?
um Not looking for it. I think the success, if you're still looking for that balance, you're not going to have that success. I think finding it and then being able to work with that is where that success comes from. But I think being kind of busy benefits both me and my wife. She's always running around and she is crushing it in real estate. And I find it pretty good that if I just have my day like really structured from time to time to time, I usually get everything done, and I feel very gratified at the end of the day. And if I have a lot of downtime, I've noticed in the past, and you need some rest time as an athlete recovery. But if you find that balance and keep yourself busy and coordinated throughout the year or throughout the day and weeks, I think success will come from that.
And I have a question about kids, right? There is a lot of people, especially age groupers, triathletes, that they just have a newborn and their priority is like triathlon,
Yeah,
swim, bike, run, and
yeah,
they forget about what's really important, which is family. At least for
yeah.
me, that's my thoughts. Do you have something to say for those people? Because I know you have seen this. You have seen this scenario about.
Oh my gosh, yeah, yeah. I see it, and it's a really tough balance because doing triathlon is my job. So age group triathletes, they have their job, they have their family, and now they have triathlon. I have my job and family. So I'm only balancing two things right now. And so to reach out to an age group, like if an ultimatum came to me and it was either baby cruise or triathlon, I'm going to take baby cruise any day of the week. And I see some athletes out there, age groupers, that they'd probably have to think about it a little bit, unfortunately. Um, I think you really have to prioritize, and I think you can do a little bit of both and have incorporate your kids into your training. I take crews out on stroller runs, and I have a baby Burley coming in the mail from my cousin that I'll be able to pull him around on the gravel roads out here. So I'm looking forward to taking him with me and having him be part of my triathlon experience. So I think if that's something that I could tell those age groupers that are just 100%, or I'd say how about 90% triathlon and then 5% work, 5% family. Um, just start involving them a little bit more. I think you'd appreciate it in the long run. And it's another thing, like if I look, say I'm 34, I'm 34 right now, and say I race until I'm 40 and then I retire. and I'm gonna still have 50 more years of my life left. And if I look back and say that I blew all those years and missed my child's life while he was growing up because I was too busy in triathlon, I'm going to regret it for the rest of my life. I have 50 more years that I'm going to regret missing that. So I think there's, um, after triathlon, you're going to end up being like, well, you kind of blew it. So you got to take part of your family now, because they're pretty much the rock and mortar of your entire life that you really have to focus on.
I have this quote in Spanish is aquí, ahora y se acabó, which means here,
Here,
enjoy the here, now, because it's gone. Here,
yeah,
now, and it's gone. It's already
yeah,
gone. What we
yeah.
talked in the past 5 minutes, it's done. So that's one of the quotes that I always use.
That's good.
I love your advice, by the way. So saying that, you already talk about your age. You are what it's called a late triathlete, right? Um, because you started like 27, 26.
Yeah.
So how did that transition of becoming a did you always wanted to become a triathlete? Because I have here in my notes that you have played football, wrestling, you did all kind of sport.
Yeah.
Did you visualize yourself like, okay, I'm gonna be a professional triathlete?
No, absolutely not. I started running when I was 21, and just because I needed to lose weight, and then I realized how much it really helped up here rather than, down here. And it was just my brother was into mountain biking. He got me into cycling, and then it just kind of snowballed from there. I started doing triathlons, found out I was good at it, had no idea what the scene was like. And then I was just doing local triathlons in Minnesota where I grew up. And then I moved out to Fort Collins, Colorado for school. And I was like, oh, they got a triathlon club. That's cool. Like-minded people. Let's join it. Let's go hang out. And then I just had a knack for it. And then I was doing bigger races and, doing well amongst top-rated athletes. And it just all of a sudden I'm pro. It was weird. Like, I qualified for it. I took the card because I got a free race out of it, and I didn't have to pay for entries anymore. And then it went from there. It was never this, you know, poster I put up on my wall, or that posted on my mirror that I would see in the bathroom while I was brushing my teeth every day. Be a professional triathlete. That never um, was in the back of my head. It just actually kind of just happened. Yeah.
Do you still have fun?
Yes. Yes. I love training. I absolutely love training. I love going on those long bike rides. Um, and I don't get me wrong, I do get down, and if it's cold or it's kind of wet outside and you have to go out and train, or you're tired, but it's a Tuesday and it's 9 a.m. and you're gonna go out on your bike and ride in the mountains for 5 hours. Like, who gets to do that? So I just have to keep reminding myself we're that I'm just very fortunate, and it does change my attitude on those days. So I do have fun. I think training partners are another good aspect that I have, that I surround myself with, that really help keep it nice and light and fun, and but yet get the work done.
If you have something to say to someone that it's not having fun,
Get out.
um,
I think life is too short. I think you need to have fun. Yep, you can have fun if triathlon isn't it, but you want to be in endurance. Try different sport, try a different club, yeah, like you need to have fun. I don't think that you should force it. I think that goes with life. That goes with your job. If you're making a lot of money as an accountant, but you hate being in a cubicle all day, you know the value of taking in less money but having more freedom and more enjoyment in your life is something that can't money can't fix. So I think you really need to find you need happiness in your life. So uh,
definitely.
yeah,
I love. I love what you're saying because it's totally like what I'm looking for when I'm talking to people or trying to impact people. Because in life it's all about having fun, enjoying the moment, having fun, but being responsible at the same time.
Exactly.
Um, Chris, it's been a tough year, right? Like during this pandemic, uh, I bet like you have a newborn. Maybe during the pandemic, a newborn can be fun because you spend a lot of time and you don't have to be traveling or
Yeah,
like
yeah.
being out that much. So, but at the same time, it's like, okay, what I'm gonna do. Is that something that came out like through your mind? Like, okay, what I'm gonna do now? Like being inside, it's not gonna be racist at the beginning of the season, right? So
Yeah, so the newborn was a great distraction, given everything. My wife was still able to work, which was good, and so she still had, that aspect coming in. But for me, you ended up. I have a decent presence on social media, but social media isn't who I am. Like I don't. I'm not just on there just like loving everything. Like I it gets the job done. I don't like to get involved in it because it kind of plays with your head a little bit. Social media can be, a massive evil for a lot of people, but that was kind of this new thing that through the pandemic that people are starting to get inventive on social media, trying to give their sponsors shout outs when you can't race. And that was troubling for me because I'm not that type of person to be on TikTok doing a dance video with my sponsored t-shirt on or with, against my bike, or that's just not who I am. So seeing that and not being able to give my sponsors the love that they deserve was hard for me. And because I wasn't racing, and racing is where I able to give my sponsors the necessary viewing that they want and need, and why they sponsor me in the first place. So yeah, seeing some of that was tough, but I also managed pretty well. I'm pretty handy on the house, and I was building stuff and doing a lot of landscaping and managing my time and my mind space elsewhere.
that's good. Which are your sponsors? Shoot them.
Oh shoot. BMC, ride bikes, Orca is what we swim in. Two times U is the clothing, 6D is the nutrition. Um, man, I don't want to leave anyone out. Pretty well
Do you
sorted.
have a
I mean,
website?
if you, do I have a website? Yeah, chrisleiferman.com. Yeah, and then
Perfect.
you can see me at Chris Leiferman, or at Chris_Leiferman on Instagram. And
And
yeah,
then they can look for your sponsors down
yes, absolutely. Yeah.
there. So I talked before to you like about the nutrition because you are a plant-based athlete.
Hmm.
How does that work? I'm a vegan. I have
Oh,
been
nice.
vegan, well, almost vegan. Let me tell you the truth. I love pizza. So I'm not giving up pizza. So that's why I haven't give up on cheese. That's
Yeah.
the only animal component that I eat, like cheese. I don't eat eggs. I don't eat milk. But I've been like this for the past 8 years and a half.
Good for you.
So and it feels like great. So how does it feel for you being a plant-based athlete?
I like it. I mean, at first is really hard because I grew up meat and potatoes. That's all we ate, and it was just a really different concept to take. And you always hear about protein intake. You got to have red meat. You got to have your iron. You got to have your B12 and folate, and you got to get that from animal-based protein sources. So it was definitely a big step. And when I started looking into it, I was like, well, you can't just be vegetarian. You have to be vegan. Like, why should you um why stop there? Like it's the whole aspect of the animal that really doesn't give you the benefits of being fully plant-based. But going vegan is a big step. And I was like, all right, from my carnivore diet, I'll start with plant-based vegetarian and then go from there. But my wife likes cheese way too much. I don't think our household would be able to go fully vegan. But I've noticed the recovery is great. I noticed that I don't yo-yo my weight. Um, I'm actually lighter now in the off season or coming off of the off season than I have been in any years past at this time. And it's I can breathe better. I noticed that I was having just trouble breathing. I just couldn't get that satisfactory deep breath. And went into a doctor and she's like, okay, well, sulfates. Okay, so don't have wine, don't have onions, don't have garlic. And what was the fourth one? There's another one. But if you look on sulfates online, the top ingredient is red meat, chicken, etc., etc., all these meat-based products. And I'm like, well, why didn't you tell me to cut out meat? And so I was like, all right, well, I'm going to cut out meat myself. All of a sudden, I mean, it's instant. Like on the first day, just did big deep breaths. I was satisfactory breaths every single time, never labored breathing, and I'm back to eat onions and garlic and having glasses of wine, and is all based off of the meat. So that's actually one of the biggest things that was for me, is that I just felt better overall. It's hard to explain. Well, the breathing I can explain, but just everywhere else, like it just felt good. And it's just, I think I've said this before, and you know how they have poisonous berries out in the wild, and you have regular berries, and they all kind of look the same, but the birds know not to eat the poisonous berries because they've done that before, and it gave them bad GI or something, and now they don't eat that berry anymore. It's just that easy. Why don't humans do that? You know, they eat this crap all the time, and they have bad GI, and then they're like, "Oh God, that was awful," and
Let me do it again.
and then they go do it again,
Yeah.
you know, and over and over. It's like, wait, you probably shouldn't eat that. Um, but it tastes really good, I'm sure. So there's a different system overpowering the other system. But yeah, so I just feel that listening to your body, and that's what I finally have done, and realizing that I don't need meat. And
How
if
many
I get,
people ask you? How many people ask you this question? Hey, but where do you get the protein?
dude, my dad asked me that, and he's an electrician up in Minnesota. He's been an electrician his entire life. He's no nutritionist. And he's like, well, where are you going to get your protein? And then I'm patronize him. I'm like, well, how much protein do I need, Dad? And
Exactly.
he's like, well, a lot. You're an athlete. And I'm like, well, tell me, like, how many grams per kilo do you think I need? And he's like, grams per kilo. Rah, rah, rah. And I'm just like,
That's what
oh,
I
come
always
on.
said to
Well,
people. Like, exactly. That's what I always say to people. Well, let me know. Just tell me how much protein do I need,
yeah, right.
or how much protein do you eat?
Yeah. And or where do
That
you need that protein? Like, there's so many sources of plant-based protein. Um, that
which one is your
there's
favorite? Let's talk about which one is your favorite.
do you know what? I'm actually a fan of tofu. And we actually cook it quite a bit. And we cook a lot of Thai and just stir fries. And
Mhm.
I make sofritas, which is a hell of a process, but make a bunch at a time and freeze it and reheat it and stuff. It's really good.
Mhm.
And so yeah, I actually really did that. I crushed the peanut butter. I wish I had a peanut butter sponsor because I go through it so quickly. Um, and yeah, nuts. But I would say, oh, beans. Oh man, my wife, she grew up in a Hispanic or a Latino family, so they're all always had beans on hand, green chili, potato green chili, and red chili. So yeah, we
You're
have a
making
lot
me
of.
hungry right now.
Oh my gosh! Well, she made enchiladas last night with we did have cheese, but it was spinach and cheese enchiladas. She fried the corn tortillas, dipped them in homemade red chili that she made left over because we made tamales. tamales on Christmas Eve, so we had leftover red chili, and oh man, it's absolutely delicious. Yeah, now I'm getting
I
hungry
I
too.
love those flavors. Okay,
Yeah,
so let's keep talking about nutrition. So, one question that I have here that someone asked me, like, to ask you, what's your nutrition like on a race? At least let's say for long distance triathlon.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. Actually, right at this moment, I can't give you my future answer. My past answer has just been gels. I just take gels. I shoot for about 400 to 500 calories an hour, and with gels, and then isotonic sports drink. But recently, Super Sapiens, which is a amazing sponsor of ours, and they put a glucose sensor on the back of your arm, which was first used as diabetics. And I raced with this Super Sapiens app during Ironman Florida, and I was going through my normal nutrition and of gels and isotonic sports drink throughout the entire race. And there was these constant spikes. So glucose spike, insulin response, drop. Glucose spike, insulin response, drop. And granted, I'm glad I won the race, but I took the data back with the Super Sapiens physiologist, and he just tore me apart. He goes like, "There's so much that you can improve on," and I just haven't had the chance to work on this because that was my last Ironman. But it's so now I'm actually going to I'm going to have some solids, which I've never done before, which has always been told to me not to have during a race. But the idea is to have your glucose line be relatively level from start to finish. And so your friend who reached out and asked that question, I don't have my future answer for you because I'm actually just got this new data that has just changed the world about race nutrition for me. So I'm really excited to delve into that. I'm gonna try it more in harder sessions because I've always eaten solids during training bike rides, but mostly just long, steady state bike rides. Um, and so I'm used to having them, but I've never used solids in hard sessions or in racing, and looking forward to giving it a try.
that seems like so cool. And do you think Supers? What's the name of the your
Super
sponsor
Sapiens.
and
Yep, Super
Serpents?
Sapiens.
Do they do patches like it was a test that they were doing for you, or they do that for other athletes as well?
They do that for other athletes. Yeah, they're gonna be the first athlete based glucose sensor and app based. So it's Super Super Sapiens Sapiens, and it's yeah, it's just
It
really
seems
cool.
super interesting. It seemed like super. I'm gonna look for it.
Yeah, well, when I first heard about it, they sent me the sensors. I just put it on right away, and I was just glued to my phone. I'm like, oh my gosh! And it was right before Halloween, so I was like, watching the, eating the candy that Xana had laying around the house,
Yeah,
and then he's like, oh shoot, I had a little too much candy there, and then you see it drop, and yeah, you're just glued to the phone. So it was really neat, and it used to only be prescription based data that you could get it with, and so Abbott is the pharmaceutical company that produces the sensor, the um, Libre sensor. I think that's all it's called. And Super Sapiens controls the data.
that's like super great. Okay, so you had a couple of injuries during triathlons
Mm-hmm.
season. I'm correct.
Yeah, yeah, a
How do
couple.
you manage those injuries and what happened?
I had a stress fracture in each femoral head. So these are two different injuries. I had a stress fracture in my left fibula. I had mono, yep, Epstein Barr, and I feel like I had another one too. Oh, I've had sciatica for like 2.5 years that I figured out about 2 months ago, and it's tough. Don't get me wrong. There's no sugarcoating it. It sucks, and when you're in the moment, especially when it happens during race season, because you're seeing everyone else race and you're seeing the success of other people, and you're seeing just people go out there and train, and you're not doing anything, and you can't get motivation. Say like you hurt, you got a stress fracture in your foot, you can't run, but you can still bike and swim just fine. Your motivation completely goes out the window. Like, it's not like, all right, I'm going to be like the best cyclist and the best swimmer I can ever be because I can't run. It's like, yeah, no, like your head is not the game, and
Yeah.
everything kind of just falls apart. You definitely go through some hard spots, and one thing for me is I was doing work on the house, and that kept me busy and kept me occupied for the time during that. I remodeled my entire kitchen during one of my stress fractures. So I don't know. I'm not saying it's a silver lining, but I guess it's an outlet for myself that I'm fortunate enough to have. Obviously, you never want an injury, but you have to find that other aspect or find a hobby to get you through it. Um, to do it, because there's really no good way. I mean, you might even have to go find a psychologist. I would talk to a psychologist, and holy crap, it just helped me immensely. So she was phenomenal, and I'd recommend a psychologist to everyone. I don't care how I don't care how stable, I say that in quotes, because I that could be interpreted wrong, but I don't care how stable you think you are. Your A psychologist could help you immensely. Yep.
So that was my next question about you said psychology, but do you ever go to a mental coach, like visualize even with not talking about injuries, but talking about races. But now you said that you go to psychology that helps you going through the mental toughness or the mental pain that you're feeling because you cannot race. But do you ever do? You have a mental coach that says, okay, let me help you guide you through the race? Or do you do something like that before racing, like visualize, okay, I'm going to do this, meditation before races? And if it's so, what kind of things do you do?
Yeah, I definitely visualize. And when I was in high school, our wrestling coach would have us all lay on the mat, and he would turn the lights off, and we'd be in a completely dark room, no windows, and we're just lying there on our back before a competition at at the end of practice, and he would just talk us through, getting, as soon as we get off the bus, where's your head at? And um, just going through a plan before it actually happens. There's a very good chance that none of that will happen. Like, you're going to step off that bus on your way to this wrestling meet, and what you had visualized probably won't happen. But at least you prepared yourself for something to occur in that scenario. So you're ready to be prepared for whatever is thrown at you. And I still do that in triathlon. And I go through setting up my bike the morning of, putting the shoes on, all the way to walking down to the beach start, going through the swim, exiting. I go through the whole race, and ideally it's a good race. I never I guess I never visualize myself winning. I do have dreams about winning, but I never visualize myself winning. I visualize myself going through the motions, because I think if you visualize yourself winning and you're not winning, then that might screw you up, because I think you have to be able to manage what it's like when things aren't going as planned. So yeah, definitely go through different scenarios, whether you're in the front pack or the last pack, whether you're biking with a group, whether you're biking by yourself, whether you dropped a bottle, whether you have all your nutrition, whether, what are you going to do? Like, what are you going to do in plan A, B, C, and D? That's something I've done. We never really did that in wrestling. We kind of just went through the motions of a best case scenario. But going through my own visualization, I've kind of learned that over the years is to really plan for worst case scenario. And uh, and if you're planning for the worst case scenario, you're pretty much ready dialed for best case scenario.
So that was my next question, and you already answered because I don't know, you know that I'm a swim coach, and I train these kind of athletes, but also I train endurance athlete like for swimming. And someone that just asked a question, which I'm gonna talk to you about him right now in a couple of minutes. But there is a quote about, I don't know if you know this guy, Steve Latones. He's kind of a legend in swim coach, like open water, and he's like he's the creator of the daily news of open water. He's kind of the maker, like the legend of open water. His
Okay.
name is Steve Munatones, and he has a quote on his book that says, "Always be ready to expect the unexpected."
Hmm.
Always be ready, and that's what something that I do with endurance athlete or endurance swimmer. Right now I have a question in here, and I don't pretend for you like to read it or understand it, but I'm
All right.
gonna put it on the window. And this guy, he's Joel Matos. He's an ultra swimmer, and last year he did a he has swam from Just Van Dyke to Puerto Rico, which is 105K open water swim, straight nonstop. He spent
Okay.
48 hours swimming, and
Wow.
he did a Guinness record. He's from Puerto Rico, and he has done all this kind of distance. Last year on February, he swam nonstop 30 hours for on a 50-meter pool, nonstop.
Wow.
On a 50-meter pool. So
Yeah, that's
that's kind
amazing.
of, he's an amazing. He has a question for you.
Yeah.
Uh, he said that what is qué aspecto del entrenamiento considera, which aspect of training do you think is the most important? The strength aspect, the technical aspect, or the mental aspect?
Definitely the mental. I think in endurance sports, especially, well, Joel, I think he could answer that question too. I'm probably reiterating what he's asking or what he's thinking about for his answer of this question. But when you're out there for, say, an Ironman, you're out there for 8 hours. Like you go through, you play so many mental games with yourself that it's so easy to stop. It's easy to stop. You just stop pedaling. You stop running. You stop swimming. It's done. Easy, easy, easy. And I think too many people fall victim to that. It's hard to keep going, but the only governor of that is up here. It's you're physically capable to do it. That's fine. You've trained how many weeks for this? You trained 12 weeks for this race. You're ready. You have all the nutrition. You have all the best nutrition. You have all the best gear. You're ready to do everything. But in order to keep pushing, mile 17 of that marathon at the end of an Ironman is brutal, absolutely brutal. You're in Puerto Rico and it's hot and you're racing the 70.3 and you're up against that wall down by the beach and it's just a bake in there and you just want to stop. You just want to be done with this. You want to turn around early before you make it around to the turnabout. So it's absolutely the mental part of it. And I think that's something that really came that I'm really fortunate of is that I grew up with, four boys and a dad that worked his ass off his entire life. And he kind of instilled this, instinct in us that you can't quit. You can't quit no matter what. Like you started this, you're going to finish it. And that has really helped me out. And another thing is like, you're not going to die. You're out there. Just keep going. You know, you might just go a little bit slower. That's fine. You're not going to die. Life isn't going to be over. You're just going to be, once you finish this race, then you're done. When you're doing intervals out on a hard training ride, you're not going to die. It sucks. It hurts, but you're still going to live
But
on.
did
Yeah.
you die? You know, one thing that I have two kids, Chris. My daughter, she's 13, and my son, he's 15. And one thing that I always try to teach them It's like what you start, you have to finish. That's the only thing that I ask. If you want to start swimming, perfect. You're gonna be swimmer, but you have to finish what you started. That's the best thing that I can teach you. If you want to dance, perfect. You dance. I'm gonna
Hmm.
put you in dancing, but you have to finish. You have to finish the semester. You have to finish the season, whatever. What
Yep.
you start, you have to finish. That's the only thing that I ask for it. Um, so you talk about Puerto Rico, and I have to make a pause, unfortunately, because I have to charge my computer.
Okay.
So sorry. Sorry, guys, we are live. Things that's something that happens on live streaming. And but we're gonna talk about Puerto Rico.
Go for it.
Perfect. Right now, it's plugged in. Perfect. Okay, so you mentioned Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
I'm on a bunch of races that you have done. You have won a bunch of Ironmans. But I'm from Puerto Rico, so I want to talk about that.
Sure.
And you got second place in Puerto Rico.
Yep.
How does that race? Puerto Rico, it's coming soon on March. Unfortunately, there is not a prof on this, but it's an Asia race. It's coming up on March 16, I think, on that weekend. How was your experience down here in Puerto Rico, and what do you recommend for those athletes that are getting ready for it?
First off, that was my first like big podium. So I got second there, my first time racing there, and that was like huge. That was the first time I've gotten second in a professional race. And on that stage, like I've won a couple races professionally before that, but they're kind of small races, not a very deep field. So to go to an Ironman 70.3 and then get second, that's where having that big podium. So that was really cool. So to come away with an experience like that at Puerto Rico and to have the run, I think the run at Puerto Rico is the best run, hard, well, one of the hardest, but like the most scenic. The downtown San Juan is one of the coolest places ever. Like it's so historic, and every aspect of that run is awesome. And I thought that part was just really neat. It kind of gave you little minor distractions as you're running through there and seeing the history of what has gone around in the city. But that it was bloody hot, and it's is it a two loop or three loop course? Two loops. Yep. So
Tulip.
it's two loops, and there's two massive hills. You have to get up towards the fort, and then you run down to the beach, right, to the wall, and then you have to come back. And then you have to go back up the hill through that entryway, which they say the entryway of where the boats would dock, and that's where they'd walk into the city back in the historic days, and and so then you have to climb back out, and those were some brutal hills. Those are steep, it's hot, it's humid, so be prepared for that. I thought the bike was pretty relaxed. The swim was pretty relaxed until those final 200 300 meters when you're in the washing machine, as they call it, before you come out of the exit. But for the most part, that swim is pretty chill because it's all in that little bay and easy sighting off the tall buildings in the distance, and back underneath that bridge, which was a cool feature that I've never really had before in a swim race, so or in a triathlon. Um, but and I think my second year I didn't do as well in my second time racing that, but there was two gangs shooting at each other, and didn't two
Oh,
people get shot? Like two age groupers. One person got shot in the calf. Like there was gang violence, and there like the age groupers got caught in the crossfire of the two gangs shooting out of each other from the cars. I thought that's pretty wild. Um, yeah, we're fortunately not in the crossfire at that time, but yeah, that was ridiculous. So I guess you have that to watch out for on the bike.
yeah, that was
Just
why
dodge the bullets.
one of them was a friend of mine who
Oh
was
no
just
way.
yeah, he's fine. But the cool thing, even though some bad publicity came out of it, of course, because it's something that bad happened. But the next year, it was packed. A lot of people came and support the race,
Oh,
which
cool.
felt amazing.
Yeah,
In a,
absolutely.
people were like considerate about it. Anyhow, thank you for that. And okay, I have a question. We're about to finish the podcast, though. I have a question for you. I'm gonna put it on screen, and here it is.
Um, yeah, there's nothing that. So I've been asked this question before, and I've never really had this type of mantra that I repeat. I think in my Ironman in Florida, I had this song stuck in my head that I could not get out of, and it was just like kind of blocking everything. Like it was actually kind of really annoying because I couldn't think of anything else. But I think about I think about what it would be like if I quit, and what if I stopped right now and I quit because it's hard, it's hot, Kona sucks, it's just brutal out there, or it's cold as hell in Louisville Ironman or Boulder Ironman. It's hot and you're at elevation and it's all concrete and it's just awful, 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 and you just want to stop because you're in so much pain, but you're just like, but what are people going to think about you? What is your dad going to think about you? What's like? I think Xana, my wife, will definitely think less of you. Like I'm just thinking of all these people that I would disappoint if I was to quit. Like I would disappoint myself, yes, but I'll maybe eventually overcome that. But it's it's my wife, it's my family. What would Baby Cruz think about that when he gets older? That his dad quit because it started to hurt, and I start pulling from those. I start pulling. I think about, maybe in the first half at this part, I think of Xana, and now the next time I think of my dad, and the next time I think of Cruz, and I just keep going through that and keep going through the list, and um, that really helps me get through that because I had a hard time thinking of why I do this sport. Why do I do triathlon, and why do I continue to do triathlon? And I think it's the fear of failure, and I don't want to fail. Um, and I think I don't want to fail because I don't want people to think of me negatively. And so I do the sport basically for other people, but that's my motivation. So it is a motivation. It's a different motivation than other people's, but it is a motivation that works for me, and that is something that I will think about on the run as a mantra, I guess you would say.
That's a great answer. I have one more question. Do you ever walk?
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think walks are amazing. Walk the dog. I think it's a good way to meditate. Good way to clear the mind, and it's also an exercise. Like you burn the same amount of calories running a mile or a kilometer as you do walking a kilometer. The after effects of that are different, but in that single kilometer, you're burning the same amount. So you're actually, doing a benefit to yourself. And it's, I just think it's very, very meditative. And if you go and walk a route that you run, you're going to see totally different things that you've never seen before. And it's going to open up your mind, open up your world. And now it's going to change the way you run that same loop again, because now you're noticing the things that you saw on your walk. And I just think it's very beneficial for everyone. And it's low impact. Everyone can do it. You can do it with, like you said, Randy, you watched me run on the track. You didn't run with me on the track. But if we went on a walk, we could all do it together. And I think that's what's awesome. So I can go walk with my wife. I can go walk with my mom. It's just really, really good chance to socialize that I think is not often done.
That's a great answer. Advice for rest days and recovery.
Yeah.
Okay, I have to point this out. Um, it's so hard to recover or to get those rest days for so many people. And to understand that to go hard, you need to recover.
Hmm.
At least that's what I think. And that's my philosophy. In order to pull on the swim, you need to get a good recovery on the stroke. So it's kind of a simple math, but it's so hard to understand that because people say, "Oh, if I don't train in 2 days or 1 week, I'm gonna lose everything that I have
Yeah,
built up."
yeah, yeah.
So, what are your suggestions or thoughts about that?
Well, first off, you need recovery, and that's can just be, sitting on your butt recovering. But that gives a lot of anxiety for people because they're not training. They're like looking at other people, they're looking on Instagram and they're like, oh my gosh, this person just took a picture up on Peak to Peak Highway, and oh my gosh, I'm on my couch, I'm not training. But that's you can't do that. And now you have this anxiety and you're just like building and stirring, and you're like, and even though you're sitting on the couch recovering, you're getting no recovery. You need this recovered so that your body can recover. And you really need to let loose, let go. Don't go on social medias. Watch a stupid movie on Netflix. Something, take your mind off of it. Do a hobby. Even if you are on your feet for a bit doing some gardening or you're bending over on your knees, yeah, it's a little bit of labor intensive, but it's different. It's not swim, bike, run, but it also clears the head. And I think up here needs to happen first before you can recover the rest of the body.
Boom! That is called drop the mic.
Yeah.
That is called drop the mic. Um, okay, so we are about to finish, Chris, and I appreciate your time. I think your son is calling you. Um, we're living in difficult or challenging times. I don't like to say difficult or hard times. Challenging times. Um, all around the world. All around the world. What can you say to those people that are struggling um, in life, in sports, in marriage, whatever? Um, this is your time. I want to hear you.
I think a lot of good came out of 2021, or sorry, 2020. Like we learned how to manage different aspects. Like we're able to have this podcast right now because of different streaming apps. Technology had a huge boost. We had a vaccine come out in record time. Like we as humans are able to succeed. We've seen restaurants pop out of the woodwork and just crush the takeout orders. We've seen people come together and volunteer in different ways that have never happened before. And now, once we get back to this new normal, but are able to get back, we're going to have like everything combined, and it's gonna be great. And I don't I'm glad that you didn't call 2020 in such a negative way, because I've been kind of bugged by it too when people are like this dumpster fire of 2020, like hoping 2021 is going to be the best new thing in the world, because 2020 was just so terrible. I'm like, no, I really don't think it was. Like a lot of unfortunate things did happen, but we as humans are going to be better people because we have gone through this hardship. And if you're just like, you're not going to get better if you never get knocked down. Like if you're just always getting, always good, and you always have people patting you on the back, and your parents are saying you're the absolute best, which, maybe parents should be saying that, but you're just kind of surrounded by people just saying constant positive, positive, positive. You need to be knocked down. And I think us as a society in 2020, we got knocked down a little bit. But what happens when you get knocked down? You get back up. You know, let's let's get back up, and let's be even better than what we were at the end of 2019 or at the early stages of 2020. And um, moving forward, once we're able to. So I think if you think about people going through hardships, and I think a lot of couples, had a lot of um, time together, maybe a little more time than they'd want to or used to. things will change. You'll get past that, but you also learn from this. Learn from anything, any of the hardships that you had gone through, and improve on it.
Thank you, Chris.
Yeah,
That was amazing advice, and I really appreciate your time, your fabulous time. So
yeah.
thank
Thank you.
you so much. Can't wait to see you at the track and try to beat your ass. No,
Yep.
I'm kidding.
You'll
That
take me at the
never
pool though.
happened. Woo!
We should go
Thank
to
Chris
the
for
pool. You can teach me a few. Yeah.
your time. See you soon, buddy.
Yep.
Aquí tuvimos a Chris en el día de hoy, un triatleta. Este podcast estuvo espectacular, así que muchas gracias. Y si nos estás viendo, que tengas bonito día, o nos estás viendo, que tengas bonito día, bonita tarde o bonita noche. Thank you, Chris. See you guys, and hasta la próxima. Bye bye.